Welcome to the show where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, it's part of the show. Didn't they teach you to reach for the stars while opening up the bars and keeping you chained down with mortgage bills and cars? Vaccines for your arms, kids sounding like supercharged, caffeinated hate-filled scars and rage-quit repertoires. No answers for yards, caught up in emotion that's not even yours. Imposter truths like impeccable retards, lined up for your serving of Gish Galloping wars. No remedy can't save the lost, in love with the yarn. I'm tired of walking into refracted shards, poor science displayed by disgusting bards. Soaked in sin with your dupe is delight in a new hand of cards. Been so long, seems like for love I'm just too hard, I'm just too hard, that's it. Welcome to the show where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, you don't know. Intoxicated 8 makes you believe you're spinning in space while you have no shame or grace. It's a disdainful state I used to contemplate how to save myself from my own self-hate. Wonder why I was even made with a dreadful fate, forced to try and awake with a full plate, no one to help me stay awake or educate. I've had to liberate and fight through hidden gates, but my brother, heaven could never be late, and rockets don't work in space. It's all fake, the show is on Mars, it's a joke, but you're too far gone, it won't be long. Fepe's beak is strong. We have our song and we march along like streams of knowledge leading to God's holy pond, and lives of truth that hits the bong and sings the song, turns mankind from the wrong. We come in peace with a holy gown and all of us wearing our holy crowns. Said the earth is flat and we probably just won't get along, just to go along. I said, welcome to the show where you don't know if it's part of the show. Welcome to the show. If you don't know, you don't know.
Shaking Hands with Strangers, episode 2, season 2. We've got Rodney with us. David is
Hey,
with us
everybody.
again.
Hi, everybody.
This is Rodney. We're welcoming him here. We've met Rodney recently at a lot of our meetups that by benefit of Mark Sargent, Rodney discovered us.
Yes, thank you, Mark.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Mark.
thank you.
His work in Flat Earth is unrivaled, except by maybe Dave Weiss or such, you know. So Rodney, while we got you here, where you want to start at? What was your life like before you woke up? Were you ever what we would label as a sheeple, or have you always kind of been, like, would you say, like, more aware than the people around you? How was your school experience? Were you a popular kid? You were a jock? Like, were you a nerd? Everybody kind of fell into a thing. Like me, I was with the stoner kids. I was an outsider, you know what I mean? Like, I sold pot to everybody. I was like, you know, the black, the, like, I grew up in the South, and so, like, we literally had a race war in our parking lot in, like, 2000 and, what was it, 2004. Those are the black kids, the people who were friends with everybody versus all the rednecks who hated the NIGGERs, and we were lovers of them, and we associated with them, So like I was one of the like more like the skater kids. Jenny, what were you? You were similar,
Oh, I
correct?
was just the outsider. Just didn't fit in. But I assume a lot of us are like that. And also, just kind of want to know, because this is like the Minnesota thing. How long have you lived in Minnesota and some of that? So go ahead and.
Yeah.
I've lived here all my life.
Wow.
Born in Minnesota, raised some kids here. Um, yeah, I was kind of a nerd in school. I wore the corduroy pants, and I was
I like
fortunate to get
cords.
one pair of Nike, the white leather ones with the red swish. One
Nice.
one pair in high school later on, and otherwise I always wore generic everything else, tough skins, whatever, got picked on all the time. But I was friends with everybody, the jocks, the band, people in band, the play, the ones that were in the plays, and the preppy girls and guys, and I just tried to get along with everybody. I don't know why, I just did, and talked to everybody, and it was a cool experience. High school was probably the best. The senior year, I got to know more of the preppy girls that
Yeah.
in auto maintenance. There's just
What
two
year was this? What year was your graduating class?
84.
84. Okay.
There
Oh,
were
1984.
1984. The yeah, the book, yeah.
Yeah.
So but yeah, there are two gals that they're probably in the upper echelon in the class, and I teamed up with them in auto maintenance, and it was the most fun.
Yeah.
This kind of dorky kid with talking with these two gals, and
Oh man, that's
uh,
awesome. Back in my day, we had to join home ec if we wanted to talk to the pretty girls. We couldn't go to auto maintenance.
yeah, home ec. I took those too. Home economics, the only place you learned how to do a checkbook, and
I can make
now they
a
don't do
mean egg
that.
white frosting.
Uh,
David's
yeah,
the cook. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
yeah, I am too. I did a lot of cooking when my kids were growing up.
How many kids do you have?
3.
Oh, wow.
Three.
3, yeah.
Yeah. What are their ages? And I thought I heard you when we were speaking off mic. You said something about you lost your younger son.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, brother. What's their kids and what are their ages? How old?
Uh, 35, almost 36 for my eldest, and 34 for my son, and then my youngest son, he'd have been 29 this year in
Wow.
June.
Wow.
He died 10 years ago. So
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, brother. I bet that was a hard loss. I've only got Lola now and the boys, so like I don't know. I can't imagine losing Mickey or Booney, much less Lola. You're tough going through that 10 years ago. Wow. How old was he when so he was 19?
almost 19,
Wow.
11 days shy of turning 19.
I imagine it was something unexpected, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he had a cystic lesion on his brain that
Oh,
I'm sure some of the stuff I found in the more recent years would have helped with it.
Oh, just a reminder that just every day is precious, right? Every single day we get. What I find fascinating when I met you, um, you brought your mom along, and she was taught in school that the Earth was flat. We found one.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
found one, just like David Rife. That was such a cool story, and I wonder, how it was growing up. Then, did she tell you that? I mean, were you aware of that? And then were your kids aware?
yeah. What was your life like growing up? Your mom's name's Levette, right? What was your father's name?
LeVay,
Levette.
John.
John and Levette. And you grew up in Minnesota
I
here?
like those
Yeah,
names.
yeah,
What
yeah.
was life like? Was it like you close-knit family life? Did your father and mother both work? Like, describe your growing up life a little bit.
Yeah, they both worked, and I'd say back in the 70s that was the best. We'd just meet up with our friends and hang out for the day, and
Right? No phone.
yeah, no phone.
Quick sidebar. Did you see any chemtrails back then? Do you remember looking up in the sky and seeing
Not,
big old white lines running across
no,
like a
not that I
spider web?
remember. No.
Yeah, I grew up in the 90s myself, and I can't seem to recall those as much either,
I'm in between you guys.
Yeah.
So
Big fluffy
still, yeah.
clouds is what I remember.
Never ever, not one day ever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was either clear skies or the big fluffy clouds, not streaks along, from a chemtrail.
Yeah. Okay. Just for the record, we all remember
just
that.
for the record.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. So growing up, life was pretty good. Your dad worked. Did your mom work?
Yeah, they both worked.
Uh,
Yeah. Mom was off when we were younger, do maybe part-time job, but dad did all the work and to
you,
begin with.
you come from a big family. You got siblings?
Yeah, I had a brother and a sister.
Oh, nice.
I'm the middle kid.
Oh, the middle kid.
So one of my sisters passed SIDS, and I think she was only like a day old, so I'm not sure what
Wow.
happened there.
Oh, wow, that's horrible.
But she'd have been older than me by a year.
Wow, that's horrible, man.
Oof.
What year were you born?
66.
66.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom was born in 61. God rest her soul. Wow, 66. Wow, that's the year Woodstock happened, wasn't it? Or was it the summer of 69?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. So how old is your mom?
She's 79, soon to be 80.
Wow. She had a child young, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something meeting your mother at the event and finding out that she believed in flat Earth and that they taught her that in school. Like, I mean, when you grow up, you hear about Eratosthenes, and all these people who, oh, flat Earth it was archaic, and Columbus, he was gonna prove them all wrong when he sailed across the globe. He's gonna prove them all wrong, and they thought he was gonna fall off the edge. What a fool that Columbus, and then he proved them all wrong. And then Copernicus, was against the Catholic Church. And isn't it funny that the Catholic Church is the one who's pushing all of this nowadays? And then it comes to find out that everything's complete opposite of what we've been taught. The Catholic Church is behind pretty much all of it, and that anti means in place of, and the vicar of Christ is the Pope, and he's supposed to be in place of Christ. So somebody in place of Christ would be the Antichrist. So
Yeah.
Pope, by his own admission, is the Antichrist. You learn stuff like this, and you begin to question what else was a problem and what else was confusing growing up. Did you grow up with any religion in your life? Did you grow up in a religious home? Was your mom Christian?
Yeah, not much. It was mostly when we go to the grandparents, we might go to the Catholic church with grandma. And that wasn't every time we were there, but just occasionally. So, it was that vengeful God to fear, that if you sin, you'll get struck down
Yeah.
kind of thing, and it's like, oh boy, I better be good, I was good anyway, but
Yeah, it's like a Santa Claus God amalgamation. You better be good for goodness sake, or
yeah,
that's kind of the prosperity gospel in a nutshell. It's the Santa Claus doctrine. You better be good, and you'll get good stuff. If not, you'll get coal in your stocking. Come on, guys. So you were the middle child, and was it your younger or older sister that passed away?
it had been an older
Older
sister. Yeah.
sister.
I didn't know her. She's only a day old.
Oh,
So,
yeah. That's
so
what
it's
you
just,
said. That was a year older than you. She would
yeah,
have been. My mistake. Yeah, that's amazing. So you graduated high school in '84?
yep,
Yep.
yep.
What did you get into when you left school? Did you seek out your childhood dream? A lot of people, like us, me, I wanted to be in the military, police, believe it or not. I never reached that goal. Yeah, now I love trees and I'm an arborist, and I prefer to be outside and in nature. What was your dreams growing up, and did you pursue those outside of school? What happened between your school life and then the years immediately following?
Well, I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I grew up,
Imagine
and
that.
yeah. So my senior year that summer, I was trying to decide what to go to school for, and I talked to my dad, which was a big mistake.
Yeah.
Dead serious. This kind of tripped my trigger, and but I asked him, what should I go to school for? I'm thinking about drafting and architecture or electrician or what do you think I should go to school for? And he's like, I don't give a shit what you go to school for. I ain't paying for it, and I was just like, well, that wasn't the question I
A lot
asked.
of support.
And so I kind of went into a tailspin and started drinking and smoking weed and didn't really give two shits, and I was working at a Kmart at the time and finally got into a job where I could be a custodian, part time, and that led into full time, and then that led into machining at the same facility because
Mm.
my boss.
So you started out cleaning the place, and
I started out cleaning the place, and then my boss, he was supervisor for the machine shop and custodial, and he said, "Hey, Rodney, ever think about applying for that basic machine operator job in the
Yeah.
shop?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought about it," but he's like, "Apply for it." So I
I
did,
want to
and
give it to you.
yeah, so I did, and I got the job,
Nice.
and I stayed there up until. I ended up with 32 years in before I left, and
that's
Wow.
amazing. You don't see that nowadays.
you know,
Wow.
kind of went out with cancer, dealing with cancer and pain and
Mm.
just not being able to make it to work no more, deal with
That's
that
no fun.
and
So did you officially retire, or
3 years later, yeah, I was out on long-term disability and eventually retired, and I kind of had to keep my having health insurance through my retirement program, so that kind of put me where I'm at, retired and
Mhm.
living life. And
so you would say what year did you retire?
uh 2022.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
And you started awakening. When was your awakening, right? So like you did 32 years at this machine shop. What would you say? How was your life during that? Are you still you're married now? Are you
no, I've been divorced for 20 some years now.
20 something years? And so like so your children were pretty young when you were divorced.
Yeah,
Did you raise your children? Did you have like split custody? How did that work?
I had the every other weekend
Every
deal, and
Yep.
and liberal visitation, so when I could get them for longer I did, or if I could get them every weekend I did, and whatever worked out.
Were you
So
on your ex? Did you guys end as like friends, or did you end on angry terms, as it often happens?
we ended where there was very little to no communication, just to keep it
Sometimes that's
simple.
better.
Yeah, it was all right, and so
Well, so you wish her well now.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, it's when once child support ends, it's amazing how it changes the dynamics of
Yeah.
things,
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like wow.
Yeah.
Money always adds an extra element to stuff.
Yeah.
Um. Well, yeah, I'm sure you're glad that's over with.
But
Okay, so
I've been researching since before 2001.
oh,
I've been
okay.
looking into things because it's like, all this war stuff always made me go, what the hell is going on here?
Mm.
This just doesn't make sense that we're over there blowing this up, blowing that up. Something just didn't make sense. I doing research on that, and found
What?
the JFK stuff and found the Titanic, the sinking of the Titanic, not the Titanic hit
Yeah.
an iceberg and
Okay, when you
sunk. And
found that, how did you find that? How did you come
just,
across
I
that?
don't remember exactly, just looking around, just
So
checking different things out.
I couldn't help but notice you said 2001. Was it 9/11 that woke you up to things?
Yeah,
Was it you being suspicious of the whole 9/11 agenda that got your mind thinking about that?
yeah, exactly. Because I'd watched a bunch of videos on controlled demolition over the years, and
Yeah.
and when I saw the Twin Towers come down, it was like, there's no way these buildings would just fall down like that without controlled demolition. No way in hell. And You know, when
All three
building,
of those buildings.
yeah, when building number 7 came down at 5:20, and at 5 o'clock that night, the reporter's standing there with a microphone saying, "Oh, building number 7 just went down." 20 minutes before it went down, and then they cut the feed. And when I saw that, it was like hardly any of my friends saw it. They
So you
oh
saw it when it happened. You knew that
yeah,
it pronounced it before it
Because I
actually
saw
happened.
it
yeah,
after the fact. I didn't see it when it happened, and I
yeah,
had to
and
believe that that happened.
yeah, and all this
Oh
other
wow.
stuff after the fact, going, well, what the heck? Did I see that right? Because I mean,
Well, I see. I remember in 2001, I was in, I think, the 6th grade. And after the first plane hit, my mother came and pulled me out of school because she said that we're at war, the country's under attack. I'm like, what? And so she came and got me and my sister, and we went home. And I remember I was in front of our TV and I was watching the TV, and my mother went to get a cup of coffee. She drank coffee religiously. That's all she drank was coffee. And she went to get a cup of coffee. As soon as she walked in the kitchen, I saw another plane. I said, "Mama, there's another plane!" And boom, and it hit, and it was the second plane hitting. And I watched it, and for years, before I knew about the holographic technology and what they could do, you couldn't convince me that that plane didn't hit that building because I saw it with my own 2 eyes. It was live TV. Nobody was expecting it, in my mind. And so it was, I thought for years that the planes really hit it, but like it was an inside job. The government was behind it,
yeah,
obviously.
definitely.
No president would act the way George W. acted when he heard that news, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, sitting in the
Yeah.
classroom with the kids
Oh,
and
I
Oh.
want to act professional for the children. What? The country's being under attack, and you would jump right up and run out. See you later, kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So, none of it made sense to me as a child. I thought, well, I was 12 years old, and I was like, this doesn't add up. What's going on with all this, so I thought it was an inside job. So you actually knew the building 7 didn't collapse when they pronounced it. That's amazing.
yeah,
Do you recall when the plane hit the Pentagon?
yeah, and I was like, okay, where'd the engines go? Where are the seats? Where, because the plane doesn't just turn into smoke,
Uh,
just because it
Yeah.
but
crashed into a plane.
can you go back to your mind at that moment when you heard how many people do you remember hearing died at the Pentagon back then?
I don't remember the number of people that died there,
Yeah,
to
you
be
I
don't.
honest,
thought it
you
was
know.
none.
I remember in my memory, there were no people in the Pentagon in that wing of it
Yeah.
because it was under renovations.
Yep.
There was no people
Oh
who
yeah,
died.
yep,
Yep.
yep, yep.
Now, if you look up the story, there was over 100 people who died.
No.
Yes, it's a Mandela effect. It's one of the bigger
Uh-huh.
Mandela effects. Now they say over 100 people died
It
in the
was
wing of the
nobody
Pentagon.
because there was a
If you look it up right now, there's people who died in the wing of the Pentagon,
I don't
and
believe
you don't believe me, you never do with the
And
Mandela. But yes, look it up.
and how many documents got destroyed in that section by the missile they shot in
The
there to
the
blow it up,
the day before, Rumsfeld, was it Rumsfeld? Donald Rumsfeld just came out and said there was like $1 trillion missing from the
Yep,
national
yep.
budget. They don't know where it happened to it, and all the records were stored in that wing of the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Funny enough,
Interesting, yeah.
interesting. And the
Yeah,
plane,
that's the part I remember. But I thought it was nobody.
yeah, that's what it was when it happened. Uh, uh, Speaking of Mandela effect, you ever been to New York? Saw the Statue of Liberty?
I haven't, no.
You haven't? Well, I happen to know people who grew up in New York, and they claim to have been inside the Statue of Liberty's torch, and you could go up there. But now, as of 1908, I think, or maybe 1918, the Black Tom explosion, Germans in World War One broke into New York Harbor, and there was 10 tons of TNT and attempted to blow up the Statue of Liberty, and the torch was damaged so bad that no one has been allowed in since. And so there's supposedly nobody's ever been allowed in the torch of the Statue of Liberty since 1918. And I know people who claim to have been in it as late as 2001,
Wow.
2003. So that's another big one. The Mandela effect was what woke me up initially. So speaking of that, getting back to you, Rodney, so you said 2001 you woke, you started doing research. Did you know about Bill Cooper back then?
No,
No.
no.
So the 9/11 started your thing. Did you hear about our friend Brian Staveley back then?
No,
My buddy Brian, he's big into
Yeah.
9/11.
He was all about, yeah.
Before he invented this whole Mandela thing, it's a psyop. I know it's your psyop, Brian.
Just
Yeah,
messing with
I
him.
just messed with you. um, but yeah, Brian was big. Dave Weiss, that was originally what got DITRH, Deep Beside the Rabbit Hole, into it, was 9/11. There's a lot of 9/11 truthers who have segued into the deeper truths. 9/11, as bad as it was, there's different ends of the spectrum. Like I know people who I trust who have friends who supposedly died in the towers. Now, like if you go on the other end of the spectrum, like my friend Brian, who is sincere. Brian's a good dude. I trust him to babysit my child. Brian's a good man. He's a good dude, and he doesn't think anybody died, or that there wasn't as many people anyway. And in any case, our opinions can vary, but we don't have to fight. We don't have to infight.
that's
And
right.
and in whatever case, we all know it was BS.
Yep, a lot of lies, and we're all in this together. We're all trying to figure out the truths of it. At least that's what I'm seeing with the truther community. We got to come together, not continue the division that this system wants, and that's the biggest part. That's why I started coming to this group,
Yeah.
so I could meet people that I could talk with, freely and learn more stuff, because not any one of us has all the answers, but all of us together have all the answers. That's what, my friend Jason Q on We Not Me, he says all the time, it's we, not me. We got to come together.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The title of the episode, aside, Rodney means an island in the clearing, but no man is an island in of himself. We all depend on people, and we're a social race. We depend on other people. If you show me a person who says he's never relied on someone else for help, I'll show you a liar.
Exactly.
We all depend on other people, and we can all get through this together. Is these false agendas and ideas that have been purposefully planted by people and entities directly trying to cause division. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Whatever you fall under religiously, political belief, a fact is a fact. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And as long as we're focusing on the divisions between us instead of on the things that are bringing us together, we'll always have war and we'll always have fighting. I think that we can all come together and, put our ideas aside. And that's the goal of this little project, Shaking Hands with Strangers. We're coming together, getting other people's stories out there and showing you're not alone. You're not an island. And, they say that nothing new is under the sun. And I happen to believe that. And those who fail to understand history are doomed to repeat it. So let's not repeat all the BS that we don't have to. And let's come together and stop all the BS. So let's get back to Rodney. It's 2001. You start doing 9/11 research. What else? What was your progression?
Yeah, I want to know who you found first and stuff.
Well, yeah. What?
That's a good question. I don't remember who I found. I just kept looking for,
You spend all
you know,
night looking. You
well,
find a whole bunch of
any
stuff,
time I
yeah.
had time on break at
Uh-huh.
work or if the machine was running or something,
Yeah.
and
Did you listen to stuff while you worked? Like
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
so I was just digging here and there, and all my coworkers kind of laughed at me like, "Oh, you're one of them conspiracy theorists as far as 9/11 went." And it's like,
Yep.
well, what happened to building number 7, Why'd that go down at 5:20 that night when it just had a little bit of damage on one corner? And I watched the damn windows blow out as floors started coming down, and it's like that's controlled demolition. If you can't see that with your own two eyes, obviously you ain't watched no controlled demolition, and then after that came the Obama stuff, when he was running for president. And I started finding all the stuff about his forged birth certificate in Hawaii. He was born in Kenya. And I kept telling my coworkers about that, before he even was voted in. And then I come across the information that once he got in, he signed something saying, sealing all his records. So it pretty much wiped it all from the internet for a while, It's just like, wow,
Have you seen any of Freeman Fly's stuff on Obama? He claims, when he's done extensive research, if you've ever put a bust of Obama next to a bust of Ramses II, they're damn near identical. And Ramses' children look just like Obama's children. And he claims that Obama is the Antichrist, and he's the resurrected Ramses II from like they took his mummy and resurrected him. It's fascinating. Check out
Yeah,
his lectures.
I think I've seen that,
Yeah, it's
the
pretty
two
fascinating.
side by side.
freemantv.com.
Yeah, freemantv.com. Freeman Fly's a good guy. I was really
We met
excited.
him, yeah.
Yeah, we got to meet him. I fanboyed out. I think I actually mushed somebody out of the way. Like, oh my God, it's Freeman Fly, and I pushed some poor guy out of the way until I could talk to him.
I'm all like, who?
Who?
And then I was like, oh, I know that name. And I was like, oh, he was on Crow. And that's how I had heard about it. But you knew him.
Crow had been on Freeman at that point.
Yeah.
Freeman had not been on Crow.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he goes real deep into Obama. What do you think about Michelle? Is it Michelle or Michael?
Michael.
Michael.
There's no way around it. I've seen her dancing on Ellen, in the white slacks. It's like, yeah, whatever.
She might be part hyena and have an elongated clitoris,
You never know.
And a microphone. And a Fitbit. It's a new age Fitbit now,
Yeah.
There's no telling.
Yeah, I've heard some testimony from some of the Secret Service, that
Yeah.
at the White House or wherever they stayed, it's just like,
It's funny you use the word
nasty.
testimony. That derives from the word testicles. People back in the day would grab their balls and swear by them, and it's a way of making an oath. That's where the word testimony comes from.
Oh,
They would
wow.
grab their testicles and say their piece, and they would swear by their balls. That's where testimony comes from. So it's funny enough that you use that word.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I'm going to make people swear.
Okay, so Obama, I always had a problem with Obama because he won the Nobel Peace Prize, and
Yeah.
he dropped more bombs than anybody else in
It's
history.
perfect in this world, though. Don't you understand? Everything's an inversion.
Yeah, definitely an inversion.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's get into some others. Okay, so Obama, we're going along now. So you realize Obama was not who he claimed to be.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on from there.
Yeah, and then I dug into a little bit of the JFK assassination stuff along the way, and whatever else I came across, as far as true stuff goes. That I was just trying to find the truth about what's really going on around us, because it just didn't make any sense. It's like, why are we doing this,
Do we want to take a little break right now and come back?
Sure.
Let's take a
Yeah,
little break.
let's take a little break. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Let's take a little break.
Welcome back, guys. We got Lola with us now, so you have to forgive any squeaks you hear or coos.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay, so where were we at? We were at JFK. I wanted you to get into a little bit about your opinions on JFK. We were talking a little bit off camera, and you said some interesting theories I hadn't really heard before. Can you get into that a little bit?
Well, I came across some stuff that there was, I always wondered why Jacqueline was diving off the back, crawling off on the trunk, trying to get away from the limo. And I'd come across some information before I started, I've been putting puzzle pieces together, connecting the dots on all this stuff as I've been going. And it always kind of made me go, well, why the hell is she doing that? I mean, I don't think that they're trying to shoot at her, and come to find out in my research that the driver of the car was the one that shot him last, and he was actually a clone or a robot or whatever, and there was like a processor in his skull that got blown out the back, and she was actually trying to retrieve that so nobody would see it, is what I came across. And Jason Q mentioned some stuff about Trump doing some time travel, which I believe is true, that he went back in
Wow.
time and showed JFK the article about him being assassinated so they could prepare for it to prevent it, and I still think JFK was still living up until recently, or still is.
Huh.
Do you think his brothers were aware of him still being alive, or do you think he was like deep undercover, where even Robert RFK or Bobby Kennedy knew he was alive?
Yeah, I haven't figured that one out yet. I think he might have went deep undercover.
Interesting. I always like. Okay, another little since this is kind of my my horse to ride in on is the Mandela effect. How many people were in the vehicle of the JFK car?
Well, they had the front row seats, second row seats, and then the third row seats that the president and his wife were sitting in.
Okay, so we have how many would you say? If looking
There,
back,
there were 6.
6. Okay, so yeah, that now the historical record, is the driver, Governor Connolly, Governor Connolly's wife, the governor of Texas at the time, Jackie Onassis, and JFK. All right. And was it not the mayor of Dallas there or something as well? The mayor of Dallas was in the front seat, I think. Or maybe there was 6. I always thought, but in my memory, and even in some display pieces in museums, the JFK car has 4 seats, and this is how I always remembered it. In the
I
90s,
remembered it with 4,
4
yeah.
seats. There was the driver, nobody in the front seat with the driver, and it was JFK, Jackie Onassis. That was it. It wasn't even really like a limousine almost. It was like almost like a regular sized car, maybe a little bit extended, but those old Lincolns were long as can be anyway. Those were boats. And I remember, like, I didn't think the driver nor Jackie had anything to do with it. But ever since like 2019 and doing more research and not with this effect happening, I've had to do research on multiple things numerous times because the facts have changed. And like for my research, my personal opinions, I think Jackie Onassis pulled the trigger on the last shot. I think Jackie had a gun in the back seat. She pulled it out and blew his brains out. I think she put it under his chin, and the last thing he thought was, "What the?" You know. Jackie,
That's interesting.
and then Jackie drops the gun and then starts trying to take off the back because she's putting on a show. She's scared to death. Somebody just blew her husband's brains out. It's probably the driver for all we know. Yeah, I think Jackie was pissed because of all the Marilyn Monroe stuff, and all the womanizing that JFK was famous for. The Onassis were a powerful family, still are. They weren't people to just be crossed and made a mockery of. And George H.W. Bush, head of the CIA at the time, or was in the CIA at the time, later to become head of the CIA, was suspiciously absent that day. You know,
And suspiciously showed up in some photographs
yeah,
right around the grassy knoll in
right
there,
around the grassy knoll. Yeah, funny enough. Yeah, and you look at how what's his name reacted, the vice president, when he found out JFK was killed, how they acted in the press conference beforehand. It's insane. Like but that's my opinion that they paid off Jackie to be in on it. She was fully aware it was gonna happen. I don't even think that the sniper tried to take a shot. Honestly, I think they just shot up in the air, or they did like a flare pistol, so people would be looking around confused. And at that moment, Jackie pulls out the gun, puts it under his chin, blows his brains out, and that's why everybody heard more than one shot. Everybody's confused and running because the shots fired, and she finishes it off. But who's to say what really happened back in actual 19, back in the day?
Yeah, back in 63.
63, yeah, December 63, right?
Yeah.
December 7th, was it? Man, I don't recall the exact date.
Or was it November? Yeah, because it was in November, because they just had a deal recently about it.
Mhm.
The end of November, wasn't it?
Let's
I don't
see.
know. Look it up.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was
But
December.
okay, so that's
'Cause
an
we're just
interesting.
getting into December, and I heard it last month.
Yeah, was assassinated.
What do you think, Lola? Yeah.
I'm hoping that's not too loud back there. The little bounce.
November 22nd,
Yeah, the
November
22nd.
11, 22.
11/22. Yep.
33. Add those up and get 33. So you mentioned something about Donald Trump time traveling. Do you want to save that for later in your timeline, or do you want to get into that now? Because we definitely have to touch on that. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I kind of thought too.
yeah. Okay. So okay. But tell me how you found out about this, the theory, and what do you know about it? And like, if you were gonna explain it to a nincompoop, how would you explain it?
Well, I kind of got the theory from Jason Q.
Jason Q. How do you spell that? Like,
Jason Q,
yeah, is it CUE or is it like Jason and then the letter
the
Q?
letter
The
Q.
letter.
That's
Okay,
what
Jason
he
Q.
goes by.
Okay, like John Q. Almost.
Yeah, he's on We Not Me on Rumble, and I've been kind of watching him for quite a while because I've been dealing with cancer since 2016, and after having surgery and trying to heal up, I was still trying to do some research and looking around watching different videos, and I came across him, and he was confirming so much of the stuff that I'd found over the previous years, since '01. And I was just like, oh my God, somebody that actually talks about the same stuff I've found already. And so I've kind of been watching him along the way. I met him down in Iowa at the Truth Tour 1 tour.
Oh, I bet that was surreal.
Yeah, it
Huh.
was, I
When
met
was
him.
that?
That was in 2021. And then in 2022, there's a Truth Tour 2 that came through St. Paul, Minneapolis that I went to also. And
Hmm.
that was pretty interesting. But I got to meet Jason down in Iowa. He didn't make it to the Minnesota one. He had other stuff going on, and got to talk to him, shake hands, give him a hug. And, it was just really cool to meet him. And Truth Tour 2, I met Derek Johnson. He's Rattletrap 1776 on Rumble. And he talks a lot about the military side of what's going on and the continuity of government. He's just a wizard when it comes to knowing what's going on, all that stuff.
Yeah. Now this Q guy,
Jason.
Jason Q, yeah, did he follow in with the whole Q agenda? When I hear the letter Q
Yeah,
now, it
it's-
Yeah,
automatically back
yeah. He
connotations.
he was he was kind of covering the Q drops, because I was having a hard time kind of wrapping my head around that. So I was watching the shows that he was on, and where he'd explain how it's kind of tying in with this and that. And come to find out, here in 2020, I'm looking at this stuff going, this stuff really happening behind the scenes and we're just not seeing it? And then to come to find out, there was a 2 or 3 or 4 year delta on a lot of this stuff, which means it didn't happen till now,
Yeah.
3 years later. And it's like, and it's all in the Q drops, and it's just like, so you got to decipher all that.
So
And
you're still saying there's stuff to the Q drops, it's just they haven't been implemented until now? So
yeah, some of it, yeah.
so just Jason Q, he goes over the Q drops from like the past, like in what way would you say they're delayed? Do you think they were delayed intentionally, like they dropped them ahead of time?
Yeah, you got to keep your enemy off guard. You can't just give them all the information so they know what's coming or whatever, So they kind of did it all in code or.
Okay, now what do you think about Edward Snowden and the WikiLeaks stuff? Do you think that they're controlled op, or do you think that they're genuine guys? What do you think about all that?
Well, everything's a psyop, and a lot of it, from what I'm seeing, is here to wake us up to what's really been going on or is going on. And yeah, I think Edward Snowden was really trying to get information out to us, and try to help wake us up. And same with the WikiLeaks. Um, yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff there.
Interesting. So I haven't thought about the Q drops in a while now. So if you're saying there's stuff that's happening now that was delayed, that's interesting. Hmm. Now back to the how did you come across Trump time traveling? That was from Jason Q?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, now what? You said earlier that there's like 4 Trumps or something right now in our timeline. Like,
Yep.
could you go more into that? I'm fascinated.
Yeah, it sounds like, from what Jason has talked about, that Trump has gone back in time and brought younger Trumps forward and gone forward in time and brought older Trumps back. And there's this other channel on YouTube called Clouseau, and it shows all the different people that are in the background of the Trump rallies.
hmm
And it's very interesting showing some of these men and women that are allegedly deceased and still there at the rally,
Oh
and
yeah.
so is there a lot of time travel going on, or did these people fake their deaths? What is
When
it?
I think about fake deaths, my initial thought is the Challenger explosion.
Yeah,
All those people, we got twin brothers and sisters.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if these deceased people, allegedly deceased people, were at the Trump's rallies. What do you think about the whole Illuminati card game and the Trump card and how he's obviously the one in there and stuff and even going back further to what's that called where it was uh Baron Trump's
Oh yeah.
overnight
Oh
adventure.
yeah,
Yeah,
the books, yeah.
yeah, from way back in the day.
Yeah, those are interesting. Is that like another Mandela effect? Like they were,
Weren't there before or
weren't there
Or
something?
or
before,
if
and all of a sudden they are?
or
Or,
if Trump's time traveling, did he go back in time and drop an Easter egg? Uh,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, did he drop an Easter egg?
yeah,
There's so much stuff to think about and look into.
yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, ti time is just an illusion, it's a man-made construct. If everything's like an explosion and all happens instantly, and it's just our ability to perceive it, who's to say it's not reversible? And there's a lot of stuff about time travel. I was into time travel from back in the Art Bell Coast to Coast days, from Madman, Mike Markham, and all of that stuff. The Philadelphia Experiment. Um,
Yeah, that was interesting. Guys supposedly getting trapped halfway through a bulkhead in the ship, and
yeah, that sounds
yeah,
horrible. Were you aware of that? Did you ever listen to the old Coast to Coast AM back in the day, or
just a little bit every once in a while.
interesting? Okay. So we're on Jason Q and we were talking about Trump time traveling and the Q drops being delayed reaction. Okay, where would you go from here? Like, okay, so you're during all this, it's the Q time. So you were into the Q thing when it was happening?
Yeah, a little. It didn't start out right away. A guy I worked with, we got talking about, before Trump was elected and talking about that stuff, and then when the Q stuff came out, then he told me about that, so I started looking into that, and I was just like, I couldn't figure none of it out. I didn't know how to decipher all that stuff, and that's where I was glad I came across Jason Q and some other guys that were talking about the Q drops and kind of explaining a little bit. And although back, in 2020, it was like it's still all kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
Do you remember nah, I know everybody remembers January 6th. I mean, it was the new 9/11, you know?
yeah, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Oh, that was all bullshit.
Do,
That was all a setup. A bunch of men and women are incarcerated for stuff they didn't do. And
I mean, the tapes released showed the cops letting them
yeah,
in, escorting them
yeah,
around.
escorting them
And
around,
like,
and
okay, is it now is the time where the video needs to start here?
They
Okay,
were
cue it
being
up. Yeah, this is why. Yeah.
respectful, and it's ridiculous that those people are still in jail and that there hasn't been an uprising to get them out. It shows that people don't really care about what's right. They care about what their side wants and what they think is right. To hell with everybody else. It doesn't matter what the truth is, it's what they feel like in their hearts. And that's this whole new age feely BS. Well, just go, I don't like them because the TV told me I shouldn't like them. It doesn't matter if they didn't really do what their TV is claiming they did or not. I still don't like them. You repeat a lie often enough and say it loud enough, and people will believe you, no matter how many times it's been
Exactly.
proven not true. And the poor people still in jail from January 6th. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, and the ballots, they all had what it was it a non-nuclear isotope on them. So I
Yeah.
think something like that, some kind of isotope, and there's fake ones that don't have that, and the lines are off. They're not spot on, so you can tell they're copies, and so how can those be accepted as good and right? I mean, do we really have to have our guy win by cheating and we're good with that, and I just don't get that. I've never voted a party line, and I've always looked at all the the candidates running, and I always kind of looked at which one is going to do the best for all of us, not destroy our country, and when Ross Perot ran, I came across some stuff within the last few years that a guy said, yeah, well, when Ross Perot ran, he actually won, but they faked it all, cheated, whatever, to make him not win. And I was like, oh, I can believe that, because everything's selection, not election.
Yeah.
Who does the evil side want to win? That's who gets it,
Yeah.
and
I think it's all equivalent to the WWE, and that it's all just
Oh
characters
yeah.
in a show. It's all bred in circuits to keep us distracted. The secret government, nobody knows who they are. Or, like, and if we do know their names, we don't know their real positions or what they really do or how they're going to really act. It's all a show, and we're all in the dark. What did George Carlin say? It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's what it is. Everything's an arena. Football, hockey, baseball, they're getting in the arena to keep you occupied, keep you looking in the other direction while they pull their fucking
How
shit on
how
us.
many times have you heard about these people rioting over a football game or a soccer game or all this, and they got all this vitriol over something that's manufactured and fake? It's a fake game. If they had half of that half of that moxie and vitriol towards something that mattered,
Yeah.
we could change the world overnight.
Yeah.
But that they're so, like, the party lines have been so strongly drawn that people can't vary from them, or they think they're going to be ostracized from their community, and it's more about keeping up with the Joneses and keeping appearances, and we can't have our neighbors think bad about us, so we're going to just go along with the flow, even though the flow is leading us straight to hell.
Yeah, we're all cushy in our little world that we live in, and we're drinking our fluoridated water that keeps us kind of dumbed down and docile,
Exactly.
and there's just so much to it. They put junk in our food that keeps us sick, and the whole medical establishment, from what I've come across dealing with cancer, it's like I don't trust them anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't. I can't. I've found plenty of your so-called cures for cancer along the way that when my dad was dying in the hospital, well, when he found out he had cancer after taking the vaccines and the boosters,
Mm.
I talked to his oncologist when we were all in there as a family, and I said, well, can you prescribe him these two medications, the IV ivermectin and the HCQ, and the doctor says that's not an option. And I said, why is it not an option? It's not an option. I said, why is it not an option? It's just not an option. And you know why? From what I've found in my research, it's because the majority of cancers come from parasites. They lay their eggs in your system, and then they flow through your blood and go to an area that might be a little weaker, and that's where the eggs lay, and then they start to grow, and that's your cancer. So if you kill the cancer, kill the parasites, you kill the cancer is what I'm finding. There's oxygen therapy, there's the Rife machine, there's so many different things that'll take care of it that the medical establishment refuses to tell us about.
Well, if they told us about it, then there goes their revenue. It's easier
Yeah.
to treat something and make a lot of money than it is to cure something. You know, you only make money one time off a cure. You keep making money for all time if you just keep them sick and keep them healed, like keep them alive as long as possible.
Yeah. Patient cured is a customer lost.
Exactly, and that's why it's against their best interest to cure us. And people being how they are, that's what they're going to do. It's about the bottom line and your bottom dollar. We wrestle not against principalities. We wrestle not against humans, but against principalities and powers in
Yes.
high places. Okay, this is spiritual wickedness. We're fighting against things that are above our human intelligence that are influencing people. What do you think about the whole do you believe in like lizard men and stuff? Do you think
Oh
like
yeah, yeah. There's gotta be, you
yeah,
know.
have you seen all the people in the all like there's this one famous Obama speech where there's a Secret Service guy and his like jaw is morphing and behind him, you know, his teeth are coming out. I absolutely think there's something to that, you know.
Yeah, I've seen video where it's kind of pixelating in a way, but it's not just pixelating like your TV does on digital. It's like, oh, there's something going on there.
Yeah, and they can deep fake anything
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
and they fake space and everything so efficiently. I think that the mistakes, air quotes around the word mistakes, is on purpose, as they say that they're rubbing it in our face. They put it out there, and the people who refuse to believe it, well, it's their own fault. It's their way of alleviating karmic debt. At least
Yep.
in their opinion, they think it is. In reality, it's not. They've been told a lie by Satan, and they're believing it. Oh yeah, it's not on us because they believe it, but it really is on them. And unfortunately, they won't realize it till it's too late. Um, okay. Where do you fall at now? Are you a spiritual person? Do you believe in God, or do you have a like, where do you fall in that way? You know?
Yeah, I'm spiritual. I believe in God, and you know, I look at how intricate our bodies are. I mean, just your eyeball alone, it's like we had to have been created. So I believe, my God is, our creator. And take it, you know, believe what you want. But we didn't come from no
Mortal
primordial
suit.
ooze,
Yeah.
and just all of a sudden here we are,
From
and
who to you by way of the
yeah,
who.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
It's the
no,
most preposterous thing. A fool says in his heart there is no God.
like Tom MacDonald says in one of his songs. So bacteria's life on Mars, but a heartbeat's not life on Earth. It's like, come on, get real, you
Oh
know.
man, life begins at conception,
Yes, it
guys.
does. Yes,
Um,
it does.
um, so what when it comes to flat Earth, what's your personal belief? Is there more land beyond us? Is there a firmament over top of us? Are they
Yep.
hiding more land? Are we on a globe and it's just like so big that the curve's minimal? Where do you stand on that personally?
Yeah, I kind of stand on the flat Earth, level plane, and the Terra Infinita or whatever they call it. I've seen that map where we're on there, and then there's other lands all
About the
around
Iron
us,
Islands
and
and stuff, you know.
yeah, and there's a firmament over us to kind of keep us in, because we're kind of a new group of people, and I don't know, it kind of looks like what I've seen is the Anunnaki kind of put us here as slaves to do their mining for them, and they thought they killed us all off, but they didn't. I guess we're as tough as cockroaches or something. Who knows? But
So the whole alien thing, you know, it's hard to get away from aliens in this day and time. Where do you stand on that? Are they from other worlds? Are they from other lands? Are they us in the future? Where do you stand on that?
I kind of think of them as other creations of God, from other lands, and
On this terrestrial Earth, or are they from another planet?
well, I don't know, the planets in outer space. The outer space in my eyes, from what I've been kind of picking up, is the level plane, not outer space in the darkness. It's just that one just doesn't doesn't make sense to me, I guess. Okay, you can look up, you can see the stars in the sky, and I kind of see that as, the soul's waiting to come down here to inhabit a body, and
Fascinating. That's an interesting theory. I like that. So did you think that there's like the Greys and like the reptilians? In
oh
your
yeah.
opinion, there's a lot of species out there?
Yeah, I'll just have to do some editing, huh, Lola?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back. We're so yeah, there's a lot of species you think out there, right? There.
Yeah, I think so, and they live in tunnels underneath us, and that's why I think they've been doing a lot of the flooding in different areas.
Oh, interesting. So you think the flooding's manufactured?
Yeah, I think it is to kind of flood the rats out of the holes, and kill some of them off.
Interesting. More like flooding the swamp instead of draining it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why do you think DC was flooded? I think they went in there and got all the children out, and then they flooded it to, not give them a way out here and there. And, like the fence around DC, if you look at the fence, it was assembled from the outside, not the inside. So who are they trying to keep in, you
Yeah,
know?
interesting. Exactly. So you think like Washington's a prison, not a.
Yeah. I mean, 90 some percent of our House and Senate, Congress, whatever, I think they're all corrupt and all part of this deep state cabal darkness, and
Yeah, I think once you get to a certain level, you have to toe the party line and do what they say, or else you won't make it. You don't win. I don't think there's a like you said, there is no election. There's only selection, and they put the people in front they want you to argue about, and then who they want to win is the one who ends up winning.
yep,
Okay.
exactly.
So you think okay. So that you think that when people claim to be abducted by aliens, do you think they're actually being taken, or do you think it's like some government control? Do you think aliens are actually taking people? Aliens, for lack of a better word, there's people from other lands. Do you think they're actually kidnapping us, or is this some sort of government program to, gaslight people? What do you?
Yeah, I think there's some kind of, I can't remember which president it was that had some agreement with the Greys that they could
Eisenhower.
abduct Eisenhower. There you go, that they could abduct us and do whatever, and just to try to keep peace with the Greys is kind of what I've picked up along the way, and I think that's come to an end or coming to an end if it hasn't. And,
Hmm.
obviously the chemtrails haven't come to an end. And I would have thought that if the good guys had taken over completely, there wouldn't be chemtrails. But I've also heard that chemtrails are actually, some of them are good, that they're actually cleaning the atmosphere.
Oh,
So it's like, okay, what are these current chemtrails today? Are they good or bad?
who's to say? Are the Greys the Anunnaki? In your opinion, are the Anunnaki still around?
Yeah,
Or
I'm
were
not.
they created by the Anunnaki? If we were and they weren't, where did they come from?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I kind of came across some stuff that kind of alluded to that the Greys kind of made it so that they could not reproduce by doing some of the same stuff that they're trying to do to us.
Yeah.
These inoculations, vaccinations that aren't vaccinations to make us sterile. I think that's what happened to the Greys, to
I
where
heard
they can't reproduce and they're pretty much coming to an end.
I've heard different theories about the Greys. Some of them that they're like biological robots, basically androids, like David from Alien, or that they're us from like the B-52s, and they're like us from 52,000 years in the future. There's all sorts of theories. I think it's interesting that Aleister Crowley, he had his Amelantra working, and he met with a demon, and the demon that he drew looks suspiciously like an alien gray. And this
Yeah.
was than I think the year before Roswell happened, you know, so I'm not one to believe in coincidence, as I've seen so many miracles and things happen in my life personally. So I don't know. You know, it's fascinating. I can't wait for us to all find out.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's your stand on the Kernani, you know, COVID, what happened in 2019? So where we're at in your journey, okay? So, you know, you got cancer. So tell us about your cancer thing, okay? We're getting ahead of ourselves. So you got cancer in 2016?
Yep, yep.
Okay, just walk us through that, like your journey through there. I know that has to be hard, and I appreciate you sharing it with us, man. That's a real inspiration that you're still here, you know, and
Yeah,
you,
it's been a tough road, but you know, looking back and the research I've done, I come to find out that the flu vaccines that I was getting
Mm.
um, at work through the nurse, uh, with the research, I find out that there were carcinogens in a lot of those vaccines, and
that means
I,
cancer causing,
yeah,
folks.
yeah, there you go, cancer causing, yes, and up until a certain point, I wasn't taking any of that stuff, and I was healthy as all get out, and um, then after I think 4 years of taking that, I fractured my tailbone and went in to find out what was going on because it wouldn't heal. And oh, you've got cancer, and did a biopsy. And they said, oh, the only thing we can do is surgery or, radiation, but let's try surgery
So
first,
this was tailbone cancer. What's the actual
uh,
title of it? What do they call it?
sacral chordoma.
Hmm.
Oh wow! And what did they say caused it? Did they have any?
They said, oh, possible
Yeah, it's
genetics,
hereditary.
Oh yeah,
and I did find out that,
Sure.
one of my aunts, she
yeah.
had some tailbone issue
Hmm.
on my dad's side, and then one of my cousins, one of my aunt's sons, had some kind of tailbone issues too. It's like a cyst or something, but it wasn't cancerous for them, so it's kind of weird.
Interesting. Yeah, that is weird. Well, I know cancer ran. My mother had cervical cancer, and her grandmother had cervical cancer, and her grandmother, and it was a thing in our family where every other generation of women have cervical cancer. And so that's why I'm a little worried that it's her turn for
Oh,
cervical cancer.
ivermectin's supposed to take care of cervical cancer, which means it's a parasite. That's what I found in my
Yeah.
research.
Yeah, and it's just weird because it's my grandmother didn't have it, my sister she shouldn't, and it's been like a every other generation thing. So I wonder if it's a long parasitic life cycle and it only happens every other generation or something, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, but it's reported every other grandmother has died of cervical cancer, except for my mom. She was the first one to beat it, but medical system being what it is, even though they did kill her, the cancer doctor did save her. She did went to chemo radiation and she beat it with help from marijuana to help her eat. But like she beat it, but then the other doctors killed her later. um, okay, interesting. So tell us your a little bit of your journey if you don't mind. If it's too much, let me know. I don't want to get too personal, but I think it's a real inspiration to us, because you said you went 5 days a week for radiation.
Yeah, in 2020, 2019, I found out I had recurrence cancer coming back. Obviously there was some cells left behind, and so I
From
went,
the surgery, they initially
yeah,
did a
yeah,
biopsy or something, or like
yeah,
a,
from the surgery when they removed that section of my tailbone, they obviously left cells of cancer behind or whatever, or I still had parasites, who
yeah,
knows.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, they said, oh, the surgeon wanted to do surgery, and I went for a second opinion, and I was told, well, we can do proton beam radiation, and so I signed up for that because surgery was just too intrusive, and I'd already been through enough of that.
oh man, the thought of somebody slicing on me is just horrible.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it again. Now that I know what I know, I'd take whatever I could to kill parasites and do any natural stuff first before I'd go getting surgery done.
Gerson diet, juice fast,
Yeah,
grapes.
yeah,
Ugh.
whatever,
You're
whatever.
cancer free as of today, right?
far as I know,
As far as you know.
I haven't been back since 2020.
Yeah.
I just made a decision. I'm not going back. I'm just going to keep taking ivermectin, fenbendazole, and HCQ and MMS and colloidal silver and stay healthy with that and whatever else I come across to keep the parasites away. And
Jenny and I have a couple of friends who swear by ivermectin.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say it's really effective. I won't mention her name, but she passed a really large parasite according just by ivermectin, and you wouldn't think she's the type of the person to have a parasite. She's
Yeah.
a very clean lady.
Yeah.
She's a clean lady, takes care of herself. Like you're not gonna think she's not a dirty person.
Yeah.
You're not gonna look at her and be like, oh, gross. Like I would happily like she could prepare my food. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? She's not a nasty person, and she had a parasite. Much less if you do something that's particularly dirty. You know, so
I would
just be
think it would
aware.
be what you eat too.
It is.
processed foods aren't good and you
Animals, if
name
you
it.
have animals and they defecate on the ground and you step on it, a lot of people get parasites that way.
Yep.
If you work in the business and you work in the outside industry and you come in contact with animal nests and such, like Rodney and I were discussing off mic about like we've both been combating a head cold, and he's suspicious that he's got his from a rat's nest, right? Or some
Yeah,
sort of
mouse nest, critter nest, yeah, that I cleaned out and
Hmm.
might have inhaled some nastiness from that, you
Ugh.
know, and
You know, when I found out that when you smell something, it's just a tiny particle of that very thing going in your nose. Every time you smell a fart, you're thinking like, "Oh, that's poop in your nose." You know, it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, man."
dusty poop that's
Yeah,
been
dusty
sitting
poop.
there for a
Oh, the
while.
human body's wonderful.
Geez, yeah.
It's an amazing machine. Okay, so good. I'm glad you're cancer free as of today. So, like, what happened? Did you get the dreaded COVID virus?
I might have in 2020 because I did lose my taste and smell, but that's if you take the COVID symptoms and you have a copy of radiation poisoning symptoms and you overlay them, they're identical.
Huh.
Okay, so I went through radiation,
Interesting.
and you know if they were cranking out 5G, because if you look back at all the every 4 years, you know, the election cycles and sometimes the 2 years in between, they've released different types of radio frequencies over the years.
Every time there's an outbreak.
Yep, and then swine flu, avian bird flu. It happens to be on Spanish flu on a election cycle. You know, look into it if you don't believe it. You know,
What a coinky dink.
yeah. So I lost taste and smell. So I was cooking stuff that I knew what it tastes like. You know, fresh cut French fries, deep fried, and that 2020 after that, there was a Wednesday night. I didn't think I was going to wake up the next day because I could barely even walk to the mailbox and then back to the house. And
Oh, man.
so that night I talked with God, my creator, our creator, however you want to look at it. And I said, God, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I said, I'm ready to come and see you. I said, that's just how I'm feeling. I just don't feel like I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I said, but if you've got more work for me here on earth, I said, I'll know because I'll wake up in the morning. Now this is where the story gets a little crazier. I had a neighbor and her kids checking up on me every day. She kept saying, Rodney, why don't you go to the hospital? And I said, I will not go to the hospital because everyone I know that's going to the hospital is not coming out alive.
Exactly.
They're dying there. I don't feel like dying in the hospital.
Yeah.
Well, that Thursday morning, they came over to my house, rang the doorbell, and I answered the door. And the little girl, she was 4 years old, and the little boy was 2 years old. The little girl looks up at me and said, doesn't look like Rodney. And I was like, what? And her mom kind of jaw dropped. The little boy, he was standing close to my screen door with sunglasses on, and he looked over the top of his sunglasses up at me and shakes his head. Nope, doesn't look like Rodney. And I said, well, who do I look like? And they both put their hands beside their shoulders going, I don't know. I said, well, do I look nice at least? Yeah, you look okay. And I was like, wow, really?
Cool.
So I kind of have a feeling that either a guardian angel, God sent somebody down to help me get through, because I started feeling better then. And, and then I was eating at the neighbor's one time within a week or so of that. The little girl, she comes over and she sits by me and she's poking me in the right arm. And she was starting out a ways. And then she'd touch my arm, it was just like, okay, what's she seeing, So am I like the angels here kind of help me get through and,
Yep.
filling my body with his or her presence, I don't know. It's just weird.
God absolutely answers prayers. And that's amazing. I'm sure he was. The children are closer to heaven than we are. They just got
Yeah.
back from there. So it's amazing. I'm sure they could have been seeing something on you. That's absolutely an answered prayer that came through. He always comes through, our God, and his never-ending mercy and forgiveness. It just astounds me. Wow. So you were sick for a while. What happened? So you came out of that. How long was it from onset till would you say that you felt like you were normal again, or?
Took me a good year and a half, almost 2 years from the time I went through radiation to where I was starting to feel, more human.
Did you get COVID during this time as well?
Well, I had the lost of taste and smell right after the radiation, for,
Okay.
I don't know, 2 weeks to a month. So I ate a lot of French fries and fried eggs, stuff that I liked, that I knew what it tasted like. And I just think about what it tasted like so I could get it down, because I
Yeah.
needed to keep my energy up. And
Wow.
we did a lot of French fry Fridays, and with the neighbors, and just had some good get-togethers, and they all helped keep me alive, keep me living.
It's nice to hear that. A little bit of community. People lose that so much, and that's kind of, part of why I started doing shaking hands with strangers too, is just to get people together when everybody was more and more and more being pushed to not be together.
Yeah, and that's one thing that really helped bring our neighborhood together too, was that COVID 2020. I'd go out for walks around the neighborhood and I'd see the neighbors out and I'd talk to them, and just share some of the information that I was coming across to kind of see where they were at, and find out which neighbors that, if all hell broke loose, which neighbors I knew were going to be there with me,
Yeah.
fighting off the enemy if we had to do that, protecting
Yeah.
the neighborhood, the children, because the children are our future, It's not about me staying living. I'm here to, I'll fight tooth and nail to save the kids, and I've had a good life, so I'll be here doing what I can, and that's what we're here with the truth stuff for, trying to help wake others up and help each other. So, that's what I'm seeing, at least. It's tough.
Yeah, we've all got to help each other. So you had that, and that was in 2019, you said, or was that
2020.
2020? Okay. So what's happened in the years since then? Like if you had to wrap up your story, like leading up to now, like how have you progressed since COVID? Have you lost many friends to the vax? What's it been like at work? You had to quit work because of the cancer, right?
Yeah.
Have you lost many friends because of the vax?
Yeah, I've lost at least 8 friends to the vax. I lost 2 uncles, an aunt, my dad, my brother, and nephew,
Mm.
and then there's others that I know that they've had strokes, they've had tumors, and other issues, cancers, and nobody wants to see the fact that it could have potentially been because of the vaccination, or
Mm-hmm.
vaccinations, and this whole crap with, you know, employers mandating the vaccination so you keep your job. That was all
or
bullshit,
even or even having access to or requesting access to a employee's medical records. Like that's crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
I mean, growing up in normal Redwood, I like to I don't know if it's normal world or like back in the day, back in the good old days, we didn't do that, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And if I would have been working in 2020 when it was time for the vax, I think I'd have been the one of the only ones that would have said, "Hell no, I ain't taking it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to fire me. I ain't quitting. You're gonna
Yeah.
have to fire me." And I talked to so many of my old coworkers, and I tried talking some common sense into them. You don't have to take it. A
Yeah.
mandate is not the fucking law. Pardon my swearing, but it wasn't. It's not the law. A mandate's when two men go out for supper together. Okay, figure it out.
It's a
You
San
know.
Francisco Friday.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
You gotta have a little.
A mandate is like what's it? It's optional, right? It's not a force.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah,
that's
exactly.
kidnapping.
Yeah,
It comes to a point where what's right is right, and even if they set a law, if they set a law where you had to kill little children every time you seen them, guess what? That law can get effed. I'm not following it. They can say right whatever they want to and say it's so, but that doesn't mean we're under any obligation to follow any ridiculous or evil order. We're under duty to God and God alone. And our own consciousness is the one who will proclaim against us in our time of guilt. We be true to thine own self. You know what's good and what's right. And when you're doing something wrong, and at least for me, and I'm not going to speak for everybody, but every time I've done something wrong, there's always a way out. God always provides a way out, and He never provides us with more than we can bear. It's only our lack of confidence and our lack of faith that holds us back or inhibits us. Rodney here's an inspiration. He shows that if you don't give up and you decide you're going to live and you're going to do what's right, you can succeed and you can live. If anybody ever tells you you can't do it, don't believe them, even if it's yourself. You can do it. Whatever you set your mind to, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely right. Okay, Rodney.
What have you got here?
What you got here for us? You want?
Common Law Handbook for Jurors, Sheriffs, Bailiffs, and Justices. We the People. Says number 5, the real law. The common law is the real law, the supreme law of the land. The code, rules, regulations, policy, and statutes are not the law. Self versus Ray, 61 WN 2D 261. Legislated statutes enforced upon the people in the name of law are a fraud. They have no authority and are without mercy. Justice without mercy is godless and therefore repugnant to our United States Constitution. Lawmakers were given authority by the people to legislate codes, rules, regulations, and statutes, which are policies, procedures, and law to control the behavior of bureaucrats, elected and appointed officials, municipalities, and agencies, but were never given authority to control the behavior of the people. As we read in a U.S. Supreme Court decision, all codes, rules, and regulations are for government authorities only, not human creators in accordance with God's law. All codes, rules, and regulations are unconstitutional and lack due process.
I've heard tale of this.
Yes. And this is another thing we're working on is we're taking back the country for we the people, by the people, for the people. That's what we're working on here together. I make comments on a lot of videos like on YouTube, and I get a lot of backlash because nobody's looking into this kind of stuff. We've all been indoctrinated. We've been all told the same lies, And, when you're told the same lies over and over and over for the course of your life, your parents were told the same lies and your grandparents were told the same lies. It just kind of continues down, from generation to generation. So we just continue to go blindly through, this is what our government's telling us. So this is what law is, and it's the law of the land. It's common law, God's law. That's what we live by, do no harm. That's the key.
If there is no victim, there's been no crime. It's easier to convince someone of a lie than it is to convince them that they've been lied to. So always remember that. It's good. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's the law of the land. That's the common law. Well said, Rodney. Everybody has their own conscience to answer to. Where else would we go from here, baby?
Did you want to leave any place for people to contact you at all, or do you want to just let them come through me? If they
let them come through you
That
for
sounds
right
good.
now,
That
and
sounds
we'll
good.
go from there.
Any final
Good.
thoughts? Anything you want to leave us with? We appreciate you being on. It's been a pleasure talking to you and hearing a little bit of your story and your journey. Would you be interested in coming back? With a follow up?
Oh yeah, I'll come back. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. It's been great, man. Any closing statements? Any final words?
Oh, we got the
Anything?
song to go out with
Yeah,
that
you
you
wanna-
picked.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we get
Tom
Tom.
MacDonald.
Yeah, thanks, Tom MacDonald, for your songs. You've been an inspiration to me, along with Jason Q and all the different truthers that I follow out there. I'll touch base on you on the next one, and all of you, and Derek Johnson. Yeah, just I've found so many guys that are out there spreading the truth and kind of helping me wake up more and confirming what I've found along the way. And that's the best part about this. We're not in this alone. We're in this together, and we got to keep working together. It's the controllers per se want to keep us divided. That's and we need to stop that crap. Skin tone don't mean shit. God created us all the way we are, different skin tones. We're all one and the same. We're all equal. No one's better than anybody else. And we're going to get back to the level playing field is what I'm seeing. When we get through all this, nobody's going to be poor. We're all going to be on the same level playing field. We're all going to have just as much money, be able to do whatever, and live and grow more. And it's going to be heaven on earth instead of this hell on earth we're living in, and so keep your spirits up, and do your research, and God bless you all. I hope you find your way through, getting the blinders out of the way.
All right, that's awesome. We appreciate it, Rodney. That's very well spoken words, my friend. We appreciate you joining us and shaking hands with strangers. I'm David,
Jenny.
and we just had Rodney on, and we appreciate you listening. And we hope you come back next time. We hope you have a wonderful time and enjoy the music. And as always, God bless, and just remember, you can do it. I believe in you. God bless. We love you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Welcome to the world, baby boy. I'll paint you red and white and blue. The indoctrination starts as soon as you come out the womb. Pretty quick, we'll make you stupid with curriculums at school. And if the classroom doesn't do the trick, we'll make you watch the news. Pick your team, right or left, take the red pill or the blue. You can vote, but even if you win, still everyone will lose. Don't forget to buy designer because Gucci makes you cool. We prioritize material belongings over truth. Get a job that you can't stand so you can buy some cans of food. Go overseas and die for freedom, there's some oil we could use. Our democracy exists so that you think that you can choose, but our algorithms make you do what we want you to do. What's the problem? Your depressed society has you confused. We got medication for you that you'll probably abuse. Go get married to a lady who also don't have a clue, and pump out a few babies that are just the same as you. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the world, baby girl. I'll paint you pink if that's okay. We'll encourage self-destruction through the music that you play. We divided all the men by trying politics and race, and honestly, it's working awesome, so for you, we'll do the same. Never teaching you to love yourself, inject you full of hate, objectify your sexuality, then blame you for the rape, and weaponize the differences that make our men and women great. Then just to screw with you, erase the genders. Everyone's the same. We'll empower you with rights to vote and fight for equal pay, then have the men turn into women and you'll fight for them again. But you thought you had it figured out, but everything has changed. Welcome to the system. Please enjoy your stay. Here's a Bible and a bottle of the cheapest booze we make. Find a man who can take care of you to fill the holes we made. Buy a house and settle down, fulfill your duty, procreate, and make a couple babies who will also do the same. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the world, everybody. I'ma paint you black and white. I'ma make you hate each other so that everyone will fight. I'ma give you our religion, let the righteous find the light. But I will also give you science to oppose the word of Christ. And I'ma give you borders, they're imaginary lines. If you cross them, go to war and win when everybody dies. And I'ma give you money that you'll value more than life, and let the 1% have everything while you fight to survive. And then I'll give you politics, I'll call it left and right. And while you divide yourselves, I will conquer both the sides. Can't you see? I'm the system, my whole purpose is divide. What you choose will never matter because everything is mine. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong.
A lot of people are always asking this, like this Dan Alcock guy just said, hey, can I get your permission to play your music in the background of a live feed my buddy and I are starting up? People are constantly asking me if they can play my music on Twitch or if they can play it on their in their videos or whatever. And like, I think it's like, if you want to play the music on Twitch or something, then you have to provide some proof that you have permission. So just take this as permission. If you have a Twitch stream or you want to use my music in one of your videos or something, this is your permission. Go ahead and use the music. You can send that clip to Twitch and hopefully they allow you to do whatever it is that you want to do with my music.